Good afternoon. Thank you very much for joining our webinar today. I hope that you all can hear me. Let us know if you don't. Please use the chat box on the side of the screen if you have any issues. My name is Rathin Sinha. I am the founder of Job Finder Network, and I'm also the moderator for today's webinar. I will introduce our guest speaker, Mary Leon, and time permitting, take questions at the end. First, few logistical items. I hope you can see my screen. I'm trying to make it a presentation mode. So the logistical items are that you can use your device, your computer, to listen to the webinar. You can also use your phone to call in. The call-in numbers are shown on the right of the screen. You have a dial-in number and a participant code. That was also sent via the chat in the morning. We will have a recording available by tomorrow, and also the slides will be sent to you. Please add contact@jobfinder.com and webinars@jobfinder.com to your safe sender list in the email. The webinar is approved for 1 hour of credit by HRCI. We will have the details on how to get the credit in an email to all the attendees. We will answer any questions at the end. Please submit any questions to me and Mary, and I'll also compile a response and send to all of you. Finally, there is a chat box, and you can chat with us to pose a question or to let us know if there are any difficulties you are facing, such as audio or video. As you obviously understand that it's very difficult to address technical issues, individual technical issues during the webinar, but we will have the recording available to all of you as well as the presentation by tomorrow. So once again, today's webinar is hosted by Job Finder. Businesses obviously across the country, they use Job Finder to enhance their diversity, workforce recruiting results, and to ensure OFCCP compliance. Our solution, those of you who are familiar with it, we are not going to get to our solution yet, but you know that obviously it has multiple things included in our solution. One of that is the diversity job boards, job posting, then the state job board, job listing, then job distribution, automatically sending the jobs to all the workforce centers and the community organizations. And then in addition, obviously, there are distribution reports, and you would notice one thing, that is our outreach management system. So if I go a little bit more there, if we look at the solution that we offer, that has job posting, job distribution, state posting, workforce, distribution, and so on. And last year we added this outreach partner management system. And this is in addition to job posting and distribution that you do. And that enables you to do one-to-one outreach. It's very important for your recruiters to familiarize themselves with local organizations and the people who are in charge of recruiting there. And this could be an educational institution, an university, even a community college or a technical school. We also help them to send branded recruiting agents so their jobs and information is automatically transmitted there. Obviously, provide information about career fairs and events, any kind of outreach activity they are reported, and so on. So the one reason for all of this is in the last 1 or 2 years, we have seen OFCCP has gone beyond just job posting and mandatory job posting. They're really looking at proactive outreach by employers and federal contractors, especially, to many different means. And that can be obviously job posting and distribution, but then, it's outreach, one-on-one, and so on and so forth. So what we wanted to have in this webinar is beyond what we do or what we offer you. So our topic today is diversity outreach strategy, where to start and how to drive success. So as we talked about, one of the key components of a successful diversity recruiting and regulatory compliance is an effective diversity outreach program. So you as an employer, as a business, have to proactively reach out to underrepresented job seeker groups by using beyond job posting and distribution. So today, Mary will introduce you to a broader set of outreach activities that cover topics such as outreach requirements, where to start, how to do it, examples of successful outreach campaigns, and ideas and strategies. It's not going to be everything that there is, but obviously she's going to share her experiences, some of the expertise areas that she has. Mary has a great background to be able to really deliver on these topics. She's a talent acquisition leader with a passion for diversity recruiting that includes, obviously, recruiting of people with disabilities and veterans. And one of the key areas of our work is building strategies and making these outreach activities better. She has several years of HR compliance experience, and that includes building and improving programs to meet federal contractor and subcontractor guidelines for businesses, such as Verizon or Texas Instruments. So through her talent acquisition experience and volunteering with both veterans and disability-focused organizations, she has helped hundreds of candidates while building key relationships. She understands the importance of matching the right candidate with the right organization. So hopefully you really get another perspective on this outreach. In the past, we have had speakers, a lot of them are legal counsels, practitioners, other consultants. So we wanted to add another dimension here today with another practitioner, really to talk about outreach. So without further ado, let me hand it over to our speaker, Mary Leon. Mary, it's
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that nice introduction. And Racine, I am so excited to be here this afternoon. Happy morning, happy afternoon for everybody. Excited to be here and present some of this information for you, give you some new ideas. In addition, we are open to hearing your questions as well and would love to connect with you afterwards. And I will have the contact information at the very end of the presentation. So you'll be receiving that both at the end of the presentation as well as when you receive the presentation directly by your registration for tomorrow. So anyway, so thank you. Racine, can you click the next slide? I think you still have, there we go. So we have a full agenda, as you can see. I am going to read some of these bullets because I want to make sure if people are using screen readers that I am covering everything for them so that they can participate as well. And so as you see, we have a full agenda, but we are going to include you in the presentation. So I want to make sure that you're engaged and you're staying interested. So first of all, do you need help? I'm guessing, since you are here, that you would love to hear some new ideas. So I'm guessing that that answer is yes. So the next, we're going to be talking about outreach requirement, talk about good faith efforts, and I'm guessing that several of you know what this is. Do you need a tune-up? Where do you start? I'm going to give you an example of college recruiting because a lot of companies do college recruiting. I see that we have 165 people on right now. And so I'm guessing that some of you have college recruiting strategies. So I can give you some things that you can actually implement and you can start planning for right now for your fall activities for the fall of 21. Talking about diversity brand and examples of what great looks like. I have friends at several different companies that really do a great job. So I want to be able to share some of their websites and what makes them great. And then some things not to forget, so don't forget items. And then to make sure that you're thinking outside of the box, give you a few more ideas. So hopefully that sounds like a great agenda, and we're going to jump right in. Let's move on to the next slide. Oh, get advanced. Okay, so do you need help? I am guessing that several of you do because you're here. I'm going to be able to provide you with several different suggestions on where to start. So if you follow me on LinkedIn, I would encourage you to follow me and connect with me. I do a lot of posting on LinkedIn, and I give people a lot of suggestions on where to start, and I really encourage people to jump right in. So do you need help? If so, let's continue. So is this what your outreach efforts look like? One of the things that I hear a lot from especially small to medium-sized companies is their outreach efforts look a little bit like this garage. You can see some hockey sticks there in the right-hand side. You can see some old batteries. You even see a life preserver in the very back and some old tires that look like they probably have holes in them. At least they're covered with dust, and you see tools all over the place. So is this what your outreach efforts look like? If so, we can help. So we can help with some new ideas. We can help you with organizing some of those ideas and what that looks like in a different manner. The next slide. So outreach effort or outreach requirement. So outreach is a regulatory requirement for federal contractors and for subcontractors. So I'm going to read this for both VEVRA, and then Section 503 for people with disabilities is very similar, so I'll make sure that you have that information too. So for VEVRA, the contractor shall undertake appropriate outreach and positive recruitment activities, and we'll talk a little bit about what those look like, such as those listed in paragraph F2 of this section that are reasonably designed to effectively recruit protected veterans. And so VEVRA is covering protected veterans, and so that's one. And then the second is Section 503, which the language is almost identical with the exception of at the end. It says that they are for reasonably designed to effectively recruit qualified individuals with disabilities. So again, on the protected veteran side, as well as the qualified individuals with disabilities. So next slide, please. So good faith efforts. How many of you, and I'm just going to have you raise your hand at home in front of your computer, so how many of you have done good faith efforts? I'm guessing I see a lot of hands that are raised. So the FCCM, so the Federal Contract Compliance Manual, says contractors must make good faith efforts to remove barriers, that's number one, expand employment opportunities, and number three, provide measurable results. So we'll talk about all of those things. So what does this mean? And we'll talk about this on some of the additional slides. So first of all, document everything. So make sure you're writing it down, whether it's computer or on paper. So number two, it's more than job postings. Racine talked about the importance of job postings and sending it out to diversity boards, but it's more than that. So number three is evaluate the effectiveness. And what does that look like? Number four is the focus on quality of the candidates, not quantity. So again, I'm going to say quality over quantity. So let's dive into 1 through 4, and we'll go to the next slide, please. Here's the next slide. There we go. Okay, So good faith effort. So number one, document everything. So you want to know when, you want to know who, you want to know what group and what activity. So for example, let's say you're going to a college career fair. So when are you going? Maybe it's September 20th. Who's going? So the list of people that you bring from your company. What's the group? So maybe it's the Society of Women Engineers, or maybe it's a career service office at the University of Alabama, or maybe it is another special diversity organization. But what group is hosting the event to make sure you have all of that? And then what's the activity? Is it a presentation that you're doing? Is it a volunteer activity? Is it a robotics competition? So what is the activity? Make sure you have all of that documented so you can go back and you don't have to remember 6 months or 12 months later when you're in the middle of an audit with the OFCCP. So number two, it's more than just job postings. You can do volunteering. There's sponsorships, donations, tours, and mentoring. So again, you can try all of these things. And again, there's a lot more that you can try as well. But I'll give you some examples of volunteering. So within the engineering space, there's a lot of activity in robotics. In the STEM field, there's hackathons, different things like that. You could volunteer for some of those activities. You could also sponsor some of those events. So let's pretend that you have a hackathon and you have 30 college students, or maybe you have 3 different campuses that participate. That's a great opportunity to get some visibility on campus or with that targeted population. Donations. These are things like maybe you have some extra laptops, or maybe you have some kits with interesting things that people can make and do within their classes. Whatever that looks like, something that's important to them, and that'll give some name recognition of your company. Tours. It's a great idea to have people that are involved with the organizations, the diverse organizations, or maybe campuses, bring them on to your campus, to your company campus, give them a tour, tell them a little bit about the company, tell them about the different opportunities, have them hear from some speakers and some executives or leaders within the organization. That'll leave a lasting impression, and that's a great way to share additional information about your company. And then mentoring. There are a lot of diverse organizations that have mentoring programs. A couple that I'm familiar with in the veterans community are ACP, 4Block, and Veterati. So all of these, you can actually volunteer your time, and you can connect directly with people who are transitioning. It's a great opportunity to both give back, but also get your name out there and to connect with people that might be possible future employees. So talking about number 3, so evaluate the effectiveness of whatever effort you have. So how many quality candidates? So if, let's say you go to a career fair and you see 1,000 people, are you bringing 40 of those back to do campus interviews, on your campus at your company? Another example is, let's say you do a hackathon, and let's say you have 10 candidates that you would love to interview, or you want to maintain contact. Maybe they're just freshmen, and you want to maintain contact, through sophomore and junior and senior year. So how many of those are quality candidates? How many of them are people that you could potentially hire? Number 4 is focus on the quality, not the quantity. So were you able to expand your outreach, and did this result in a change to your workforce? So for quality, if you're looking for electrical engineers, or maybe you're looking for mechanics, or maybe you're looking for production supervisors, did you find a good quality candidate in the effort that you used? And if not, what can you do differently? So let's go to the next slide. So are you in need of a tune-up? How many of you have cars and have to take it in periodically to get the oil changed, to get the tires rotated, anything like that? There are probably a list of items that an auto mechanic will need to go through if he or she is checking out your car. They could look at the tires. Do they need to be rotated? Are there any holes? How is the alignment? Do you need to make any changes? Does the oil need to be changed? Are there any indicator lights on the dashboard? There are a whole lot of things that you need to look at when you think about a car and taking it into an auto mechanic. Well, there are a lot of things that you need to look at when you're looking at your affirmative action plan. I'm assuming that a lot of you are federal contractors or subcontractors, and so some of these words might make a lot of sense, and there are things that maybe you're looking at or maybe you need to look at. So one is adverse action or impact. So for adverse impact, do you have any adverse impact that you've seen in various categories, maybe for females in management positions, maybe with people of color? So another thing is repeat goals. So do you have the same affirmative action goals for your 2021 affirmative action plan that you had in 2020, that you had in 2019? So if you're seeing those same repeat goals, probably need to take some action and you need to try something different. Another thing is placement goals. Where are your placement goals? And I know from working in the business and being a practitioner, you don't drive your business based on your affirmative action plan. However, when you have placement goals, it's usually an indication that you probably need to try something different or need to expend some effort into some targeted approach to try and decrease those placement goals and try to find some candidates. Another area is underutilized. So you're underutilized in any of the categories or in the placement goals. And then action plan. So what are you doing? So what efforts are you trying to decrease some of those goals? So let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, polling question number 1. Okay, Rethine, you're up. I'm going to read this question and then you're going to see the poll and I'd like you to pick an answer. So the first question, and this is where I need the audience participation. So what best describes your current outreach activities? Number 1 is not doing any outreach today. Number 2, you're visiting a few university campuses. Number 3, you're reaching out to a few local organizations, so maybe you're adding a couple of diversity organizations. And number 4, you're completely revamping and expanding your outreach strategy. So the poll is open. We're going to take a couple more seconds to capture everybody's votes.
Good. We are almost there. We have about 60% people have voted. Just give 15 more seconds so we can share the results.
Okay.
Hopefully.
Sounds
Hopefully
good.
I can. So
everybody
so
vote.
actually now we are getting pretty good. So when the rate stops, I would just let the votes come in, please.
Yeah,
okay, so two-third people have voted. Well, 70% have voted now. Just give me 5 more seconds and I would share the results. Great.
Perfect.
So 70% voted. I'm just sharing the results. I hope it's showing up. Just let's hope on the what happened. Did it share any results to you? No?
It didn't. It did not.
It did not. Okay, let me close the thing first. Now I should be able to share.
Oh, there we go. Okay. So thank you. This is fabulous. And I'd like to see that people are interested in revamping and expanding your outreach. So almost half of you, so fabulous numbers, almost half of you are revamping and expanding. So that is wonderful. Hopefully you can take some of these ideas that I'm sharing today and you can utilize those right away. The second largest answer was 24%, reaching out to a few local organizations. And again, at least you're doing something and you're expanding, so wonderful. And then the rest of you, and it was split 15% for each of these, is that you're not doing any outreach today and that you're visiting or you're visiting a few university campuses. So hopefully the 30% in those two groups, you'll have several different opportunities and new activities that you can do and you can implement, and you can change that answer if I ask that again next year. So why don't we go ahead to the next slide, please?
We are there, right? Can you see?
I can't see the next slide. No.
Okay, so now you should.
There we go. Yes. So where to start? So again, if you follow me on LinkedIn, I post about this a lot. You need to start someplace. So again, pick an activity, pick 3, and start someplace. So consider your targeted audience. Are you trying to find more Black engineers? Are you trying to find more female mechanics? Are you trying to find more female IT professionals or cybersecurity? Are you trying to find more veterans? So whatever it is, consider your target audience. Customize your approach. Try to figure out where are those people going to be. So for veterans, there are a ton of veteran service organizations that offer opportunities to be panelists. So you can go on and present as your company and talk about the veteran program or the military spouse programs that you have available. You can also volunteer in some of the mentoring organizations, and this is similar with other groups as well. But again, target and customize your approach. Think about the population that you want to attract and where are they. So try to look and see where they are, and that's where you want to go. Plan your strategy. Don't just start firing away. You need to plan your strategy, and maybe what you do is you look at, okay, this is the first 3 months. These are the 3 activities that we're going to try, and we're going to measure them. And then we're going to try for the next 3 months and plan your strategy. You can always change. You can always tweak, and you can always add something new or take something out if it's not working. But plan it. Make sure that you have that strategy, and then you're looking to see what is your target audience, and are you reaching that target audience? And lastly, identify some metrics. So you want to identify these ahead of time. So when you go to a job fair, do you want to measure how many people you see? Do you want to measure how many people you're inviting back for interviews? Do you want to measure how many females you see? Do you want to measure how many veterans? Whatever it is, try to figure out what you want to measure and then measure those results. And then document your efforts. Make sure that you have, if you're going to these 10 career fairs, or if you're participating on these 2 panels, how many people are contacting you, and how many people are you setting up for interviews after those events? Those are great opportunities, but make sure you're measuring and make sure that you're documenting your efforts. Okay, let's go to the next page, please. So college recruiting. I love college recruiting, and college campuses are just ripe with diversity, all types of diversity. So if you're not there, you need to consider going to college campus. The first question is, do you have diversity on your campus team? So I'm going to tell you a little story. So I have a friend who has a national IT organization, and actually it's international, so he has a few people in Europe as well. And so when he goes to college campus, they're always looking for more females. And so he always stacks the interview team and the campus team that's going to career fairs with females. And then he also adds in a very attractive male that's part of the team as well, to have that part of the diversity. And so making sure that you have diversity that you want to try and attract. So if you send, I've been on campus before, and I have been the only female. And if we're trying to attract females, or if we're participating in a SWE event, the Society for Women Engineers, it doesn't look good if we don't have anybody that looks like them. So make sure you have that diversity that you can send to your campus team. So the second question, what types of relationships with diverse organizations do you have? So are you a one and done? So do you reach out to an organization, for example, NSBE, National Society for Black Engineers? Do you contact them to set up an event on campus and then they don't hear from you for another year? Or are you nurturing that relationship? The same thing with organizations. So an organization that I am on the board of directors, so Disability in North Texas, and there's a national organization as well. So are you developing those relationships where you're in contact on a regular basis? Are you participating in events? Are you trying to build the relationships with a variety of people within that organization? Or are you literally contacting them, sending one email, and then you're done? well, that's not really a relationship. You need to make sure that you're continuing to contact people and you're adding value as well. So number 3, does your social media show some diversity? So think about it. So a lot of people are on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, LinkedIn, whatever the social media is that you choose. So make sure you have diversity. That could be way beyond race, ethnicity, and gender. It could be veteran status. It could be people with disabilities. And again, 70% of disabilities are not visible. So making sure that you have a variety could be religion. It could be LGBTQ+. It could be a bunch of different things. Make sure you have that diversity. And that's a great place to talk about testimonials and talk about the employee resource groups or business resource groups that you have. So again, social media is a fabulous place to showcase that diversity that you have. So how many of you, and again, I'm going to ask you to raise your hand at home in front of your computer, how many of you have met the veteran or the disability services offices on campus? I'm guessing I probably see a few hands going up, hopefully a lot, but if you haven't, you need to reach out. I did a huge project at my last company. I reached out to all 25 of our target schools, 120 different veterans or disability services offices, and put together a heat map of where we should go and best practices. People were so surprised when I contacted them at some of the schools because nobody ever did from a company. And so you have an opportunity to build relationships and make a difference and stand out, and they'll remember. I would get referrals because they remembered that I had contacted them from my company, and they would send me suggestions, and they would tell their students, hey, this company really supports students with disabilities, so you need to apply there. So make sure you make that connection. And veterans and students with disabilities, they fall into more than one box. They're not just a veteran or they're not just a student with a disability. They have many other characteristics as well. So again, a variety of diversity right there. So the last question, or the last point I want to make for college recruiting is, are you trying to build rapport early? And by early, I mean at the freshman and the sophomore level. So one of the things that I have found, and again, I have recruited on college campuses at more companies than I care to share, but a variety of different places. But if you're waiting until the semester, the first semester of their senior year, you're too late. A lot of companies have already come before you, and those students have seen the companies and seen them repeatedly come and present on campus, sponsor different organizations, have events, different activities. And so they've seen those companies over and over. So if you're trying to start to build that rapport the fall semester of their senior year, that's too late. So start early. You can have day in the life videos. You can invite those younger students, or those earlier in their career, maybe I should say, students to participate maybe in a weekend activity that you have available. Maybe you do tours, maybe you do presentations, whatever that is. Engage them when they're freshmen and sophomore so that they see you early and they become interested. And then when they see you again coming to campus every semester, that's a great thing. You're building that rapport and you're building that relationship early. So let's go to the next slide, please. I'm going to try and advance it then. Do I have the... Rithine,
So I have a poll. I'm going to act it.
Okay. Yeah. Can you go to the poll, please?
Sure. Yeah.
Okay. So this is the second part where you need to have some audience participation. So we would love all 172 of you to participate, please. So the next polling question, what do you think about your diversity brand as an employer? So the first choice is that you don't know what diversity brand is. So you have a question in your mind. The second is use the company or the CEO statement on your website. So at least you have something, you have it out there. Number three is you use a few faces or pictures of diverse people on your website, and it could be diversity in many ways. And then the fourth is use diverse images, testimonials, awards, and many other things on the website. So what we're going to do is we're going to give you a couple seconds, probably about 10 or 15, to make a decision on where you fit. And again, the question is, what do you think about your diversity brand as an employer? So Racine, I'll turn it to you to see how many people we have responding.
Yeah, no, we are getting obviously there, and
cool.
We got about 54% so far.
Okay.
So I'm just going to we got to go beyond that 70% because the first question we had 70% response. So we are going a little slower right now. 58, 59. Come on, just press if you are there.
Let's go.
So we are above 60.
Hear from you.
Yeah, no, because I just want this to be reflective of this group. So yeah, we're almost there. I think we have taken quite a bit of there. If anybody wants to vote, vote. Almost feel like November now, but just a little bit.
But this is a fun poll.
Yeah. So we are done.
No
we are done here.
Involved.
So we got 2/3 votes done. So I'm just going to close the vote, and then I'm going to share the result. So let's see if I can share it. Again, my first time. Is it coming up?
It is.
Okay.
So what percentage of people voted? Can you share?
Yeah, we got 68%. As I said, 2/3 was my criteria.
Okay, 68. Okay, perfect. So
no, 68.
It looks
2/3.
Right, 68. So 2/3. So that looks like most of you, so 48% are using diverse images, testimonials, awards, and other things on your website. So great. So that's half of you doing a great job. Just continue to do that and more. I'll give you some other ideas. And in our coming slides, I'm actually going to have us go to a couple of websites for companies that I'm familiar with, so that I can share some other ideas with you. For 28% of you, you use a few faces or pictures of diverse people on your website, so great. You're making some strides in the right direction. And then the last two categories, so do not know what diversity brand is, 11% of you said that, and then use company or CEO statement on your website, so 13%. So hopefully with that at 24% in those last two categories, you'll come up with several new ideas on things that you can add and you can include with your diversity brand as an employer. So thank you, Racine. So why don't we go to the next slide, please? I see myself.
Okay, you are on. Can I see?
I am. Do we have the slide as well?
Yeah, I did. Can I see now?
I only see me.
Okay. So let me make sure that we are out of all the polls. I think we are. I thought we are, but if we are not, so yeah, these are all done. Okay. Can you see if you can move the slide? I don't know why I can't stop the poll. I have shared it and I have closed it.
Did you want me to?
Yeah, the poll is closed.
Oh, it clears.
Right?
Okay.
Okay.
But I can't see the presentation. Are you able to pull that up again?
Yeah. Can you see the presentation?
There we go. Yeah, I can. Okay. Wonderful. Thank you. Okay, so I'm going to advance it to the next. So what diversity brand? So for those of you who answered that question, what's a diversity brand? There are a couple things to consider. So first of all, you want to make sure that your career and your company websites are sharing the same message. So how is diversity important to you, or diversity and equity and inclusion? So how is that important to you, and what is your message? And again, it goes beyond what your CEO is sharing. It's a lot more than that. So think about your social media platforms. How are you sharing pictures? How are you sharing testimonials? Or are you sharing events that you're doing? And make sure that you do it on all of the social media platforms that you use. That's a great way to attract your audience and target those specific populations. Employee resource groups, ERGs, or business resource groups, which some companies have as well. These are people that want to join these groups because they feel very passionate about, finding people that look like them or helping that population. So you can use them. They like to go to campus. They like participating in recruiting events. They will probably be very helpful with suggestions that you can do, and make sure that you showcase those on your company website. And you're going to see from some of the websites that I show you, they actually have very specific information about their employee resource groups. So that's a great way to showcase. And then again, you want to make sure that your CEO's diversity statement is featured prominently someplace on your website. So next, build strategic sponsorship. Oh, actually, can you go back? There you go. So build strategic sponsorship. So again, are you on the board of directors for one of the national diverse engineering organizations or financial or accounting organizations? Some kind of strategic sponsorship so you can have influence with that organization. Target specific populations. Are you looking for females? Are you looking for more people with disabilities or veterans? Whatever that looks like, make sure that you can target and you can share that in your diversity brand. Is your goal to bring on 20,000 new veterans and military spouses over 2021 and 2022? Whatever that looks like, make sure you can share what some of your targeted efforts look like. Provide scholarships to underserved populations. So there are some underserved populations where there are going to be a lot of people who are going to be the first-time college participants. And so they don't have people in their families that have gone or attended or graduated. And so make sure that you can provide scholarships. And that's a great message that you're sending to campus as well, that that's something that's important. So let's go to the next slide, please. Okay, what great looks like. And can we put it in presentation mode so I can click on these, please? Thank you. What we're going to do now is we're going to go to several different websites. So I know people and recruiters or HR professionals or executives at all of these organizations, and all of these organizations do a great job in different ways. And so I'm going to provide you, and you're going to be receiving this presentation so you can take a look when you get back to your work site and you receive the presentation tomorrow or thereafter. So looking at Wells Fargo, I'm going to click on that. Oh, it didn't go.
Yeah, Mary, I don't think you will be able to unless you can. You have to take the control. I have given you the control.
Okay, can we go back to the prior slide, please?
Yeah, you have to go back.
Okay, and I don't see the controls to do that. Is there a way that you can take me back to the prior slide, please?
Okay. So let me go back and do this. Okay, let me open it up and see whether you can.
Okay, that sounds good. Thank you.
Okay, this is going to be a little bit problematic.
Okay. Did you want okay, there we go. Thank you.
Okay.
Okay.
Right.
So if you scroll down slowly, this is actually the veterans site, military veterans for Wells Fargo. You see some numbers that they share. They talk about the reemployment and job search assistance. They talk a little bit about outreach, and this is very focused on the military or the veteran recruiting strategy. So again, this is a great example of what Wells Fargo is doing and what you could replicate if that's something where you have a veteran strategy. So if we can go to that second one, please. For Kohl's. Schools also has a wonderful veteran strategy, but they've done a great job in their careers page of talking about diversity and inclusion. So you see quite a diversity with the people that are listed in that or shown in that picture. And then if you go down, and if you can scroll down on the page, thank you. If you can stop. If you look at that section on the right, our community, those are volunteer events. So think about it. Maybe that's a robotics page. Maybe it's a hackathon, whatever that is. I'm guessing that is a STEM event that Kohl's is using to try and encourage more kids to go into STEM areas, when they're wanting to study. And you also see some diverse people in the everybody doesn't look exactly the same in the picture. So if you can scroll down a little bit, there's a little bit more. Ruthy, scroll down, please. So if you can stop there, please. The business resource groups, they actually have several. I'm not going to make you go all the way down, but they have several different business resource groups, and they highlight it. They talk about the numbers, they talk a little bit about what they do, but they want to highlight and share with people, you're going to find something, some place where you can fit. And so we want to share some of those opportunities. So if you can go back to the next one, please. So EY is another really great example. So I know the leader who runs the neurodiversity program there. He was actually part of the leadership team when we formed the Disability in North Texas organization here in Dallas. And you see a statement right there from the Global Vice Chair for Diversity and Inclusiveness. So again, you see a strong statement. If you keep going down, they do a great job not only on the veteran space. I know the leader at EY who focuses on the Army, in addition to the disability space. And again, just keep going down. And you see a few other statements that they have, and then they have some videos as well. And these are all really great ways to showcase your diversity. So if we can go to the next one, please.
Mary, we would actually run out of time if we have to go through all of them.
Okay.
Maybe you just pick one or two. So
okay.
Which one you
Okay.
do?
So why don't we? Okay. That's okay. So what I would encourage everybody to do is look at Sodexo, AT&T, and Facebook. They have some fabulous examples. AT&T actually does a really good job of showing numbers. So talking about how they want to showcase why diversity is important and a little bit about those numbers. And you can show that in a variety of ways. You can show it as demographics, so you can show it as how people self-identify. So if you want to scroll quite a bit down, you'll actually see. Please keep going.
There is always a danger of opening new websites during a presentation because obviously they have different designs.
Yep, if you can keep going down, please. I want to show the numbers. Keep going down. Yep, keep going. Yeah, there you go. So you see numbers that they want to show and highlight. And so again, whatever numbers are important to you that you want to highlight, that's a great way to share with your targeted audience. Okay, if we can go back and then I'll quickly finish up the slides. Okay. If you want to go to the next slide, please.
Just give me a second.
Okay, so things not to forget. Partner with your communications team. They should be experts at communicating, both on social media, your website, and other ways. So make sure that you form that partnership. Make sure you have a consistent message. This could be on your careers page, on your website, as well as social media. Diverse images. You saw a variety of pictures of a variety of different types of people. Make sure it goes beyond race and gender for those diverse images in whatever form on social media or on your website or career page. Employee videos and testimonials. This is a really wonderful way to showcase different targeted groups, whether that's military, whether that's people with disabilities, whether that's LGBTQ+, whatever that is. Diversity awards and recognition. That's one of the things when you click through some of those websites, make sure you scroll all the way to the bottom because there are several wonderful depictions of the awards. that companies are very proud that they have received. So make sure that you look for those as well, and that's something that you can put on your website. And employee demographic information. You saw a little bit of that with AT&T in some of the numbers that they're showcasing. So if we can go to that next page, please. And outside the box, don't be afraid to think and do something different than other people. Some of the things that we've talked about is volunteering. Are you going to volunteer with STEM activities? Maybe you do a hackathon or robotics competition. There's an organization called High Tech High Heels. Focuses on encouraging more females to go into the STEM or engineering functions. A day in the life, maybe you can do a video, maybe you can do a testimonial or a story that you share. Zoom, all of us have used Zoom for ad nauseum for the past year. Make sure you incorporate some of that when you're doing some of your other outreach and targeted activities too. So again, you don't have to just focus on where you can physically be, you can actually do it virtually. So virtual career fairs, there are a lot of companies that are adding these. And that, again, that's a great way. You don't have to just go to your targeted campuses. Maybe you attend targeted colleges. You can go to a lot more because it's all virtual these days. And then internships. And another form of internships is a re-internship. These are people that are returning to the workforce after being out. A lot of times it's meant to bring stay-at-home parents, a lot of females, back into especially technical fields. But there's a wide variety of ways that you can use these. So with that, let's go to the last slide, and that'll be contact information. If you have questions, feel free to connect with me. The easiest place is probably on LinkedIn. If you go to that last slide, it'll also show my my cell phone number as well as my email address at Diversity Outreach Partners. Feel free to shoot me a note. Again, it's easiest to probably connect with me on LinkedIn. And then do we have any questions from the audience?
So we'll come there. So first of all, about questions. Can anybody, you can raise any questions if you have. So I think, let me just see, will you send the presentation, HRCI? Yes, they will be sent out. Obviously, I mentioned that, and there will be a follow-up, and there is also a recording of this. Any other questions you have? So please feel free to send them also later on. We would, generally what we do, we collect all the questions, we write a response with the presenter, and we would send it out to you. So if you don't have, there are a couple of things since in the presentation, I was saving some time, obviously we could go back to the videos, but I think this was a very interesting presentation webinar for us, because many of you are probably our customers today, some of you are not, maybe using somewhere else. But the important thing, increasingly we see what is diversity and what is OFCCP compliance, and they are merging. I think also the compliance is very important for all the federal contractors, but the companies who are also not federal contractors, this diversity recruiting is getting important. And traditionally, and even today, the bulk of the work and the most important part of it is posting your jobs on the proper areas, on the states and so on, because of the scale. Because if you are posting a job, it reaches many people. Quality is important, but quantity is also important, because the larger the bucket, the more quality you are expected to get. However, these issues, which traditionally not all of our customers do, we want to make sure that they don't forget about this. Because one of the key things that is increasingly coming up in the audits is the effectiveness of the programs you did. Remember, not all job boards are going to deliver the same kind of results, because the internet is really getting concentrated. So a few job boards would give, but others would give less. Again, the scalability is less there. So you need to have a combination. And obviously, we do a lot of that for you, job posting as well as distribution to this local organization. We also give platform. I know a lot of our customers, they use this outreach to local organizations, recording of all the activities, the things we've talked about, attending an event, a career fair, a university visit, logging up all those, their data and so on. So I think I encourage everybody to think in a broader scale. Use obviously our platform, but any other platform we're doing. And at the same time, we are seeing the second trend. I think Mary mentioned that there is an overlap between recruiting and marketing, because this is why the recruitment marketing is becoming more prevalent, because recruiters are really marketing their company to the job seekers, just like marketers are marketing your products to your customers. So obviously many of our customers, they are working very closely, HR and marketing are working together, and I think some of these things are going to increasingly be more. Hopefully we can help be a part of that bridge, and so can other organizations like Mary's and so on. But the important thing is, this is a topic of relevance. Let the conversation begin. Let us see if we can help, if Mary, you can help, and if each of you can help. If you have a great example, share with us. The important thing is the examples that Mary has shown, they are very interesting, but they are very large companies. So one of the critical problems we would face is, how do smaller companies take advantage of some of these technologies and efforts? Can they really have the ability to put their budget for a scholarship? Because AT&T has spent 26% of their budget, I just saw on the screen, on their this outreach. Not every company will be able to do that. So we need to come back and find out what is the right solution for you. You need to find us, tell us, let us help, and let us kind of do that partnership together. That is all I had to say. And Mary, if you have anything else to say, otherwise we will give you back these 3 minutes. Have a fantastic afternoon. And we do have another webinar. We would have the month of May, focus on work, and then early June we would have our next webinar. We'll keep you posted. Mary?
So thank you, Ratheen. I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to everybody today, and hopefully you've learned some good ideas. You had some great closing remarks. One of the things I would say is, some of the things that I suggested, they're free. So you don't necessarily have to pay tons and tons of money to do things, for example, mentoring. And so there are some opportunities that are available for some of these in the slides that you can do if you're a small to medium-sized company. So don't be afraid. But again, if you have other creative ideas, we would love to hear about those. Because again, we just want you to start someplace. So start and then continue to build or change or grow, and your efforts will be fabulous. So we look forward to hearing about your success, and please connect with us. Have a great afternoon.
Thank you very much.